In the pharmaceutical world, the distance between a clinical trial protocols and a life-saving result is paved with thousands of unstructured PDFs. Right now, it takes teams of experts weeks to cross-reference a single protocol against shifting FDA or MEA regulations. But what if you could audit the entire life cycle in minutes? Today I'm going to show you how Agentbricks turns a mountain of chaotic clinical data into a precision-tuned knowledge assistant that doesn't just read your data, it understands your domain. Let's dive deeper. So how does it work? We're going to select a few datasets containing clinical trial protocols, clinical trial results, and regulatory documents specific to this domain. We'll register it in Unity Catalog. Then we'll build a knowledge assistant and refine it with additional context and feedback. At that point, this agent can be used by clinical scientists to ask questions about clinical trial protocols. This agent can be used as is or as part of multi-agent system. Speaking of data, let's first check out the datasets we have today. I'll be working with 3 publicly available datasets. Let's first go to Unity Catalog, My Catalog, Schema, and the first data source we look at is a table containing metadata about clinical trials. Besides general metadata about clinical trial, it contains a link to the document and a clinical trial protocol in the form of a text column. Some trials in this dataset are still ongoing, while the rest are completed. For the completed trials, we have a PDF documents containing the results. We store these documents in a Unity Catalog volume. One thing to mention here is that not all PDF documents have the same structure, which can be very challenging if you want to process this data programmatically. In a few minutes, we'll see how Agentbricks can help us here. We also have a set of regulatory documents that we'll use to see if the protocol is designed according to the regulatory requirements or if any amendments are needed. You can open documents directly in Unity Catalog without the need of downloading it, checking it, and potentially uploading back. Let's jump and build our knowledge assistant. For that, we go to Agents and select our knowledge assistant. You need to provide a name, description, and then we'll select the sources that we just discussed. Unity Catalog volume, I go to my catalog, schema, documents, add. You need to specify a name and description of this content. We'll do the same for regulatory documents that we have. And now I would like to add actual clinical trial protocols. As you remember, a clinical trial protocol is stored as a column in a metadata table. To be able to add it as a source for our knowledge assistant, we need to create a vector search index on top of it. I created one in advance. If you would like to create one on your data, follow the documentation from a Databricks website, which contains step-by-step instructions how you can do it. Now, I specify source, my catalog, schema, my vector search. I do need to provide a column that contains a URL, which is a link column, and a column that contains an actual clinical trial protocol. After that, I can click Create and wait until my agent is ready to start asking questions. Great, my agent is ready. It depends on the size of the data that you selected for your agent. It might take some time to actually process this data and create an agent. Now, let's start asking questions to this agent. We'll start with a generic one and ask it to provide us a list of ongoing clinical trials and a description for each of them. We got our result. One important thing to notice here is that our agent can't really identify which clinical trials are ongoing or completed. As you remember, information about if this trial is ongoing or completed is stored in a metadata table, which we are not using in this assistant. I would like to help my assistant to understand this information better. For that, I will provide an example to understand what does it mean ongoing clinical trials. In this simplifying example, ongoing clinical trials are those that have a protocol but no corresponding result document. Of course, it's a simplified example, but let's see if it helps our agent to understand what does it mean ongoing clinical trial. We'll ask the same question again. Now, asking the same question again, Databricks instantly identifies all ongoing trials and gives us exactly the summaries of what we want. But we don't have to stop at listing trials. So how flexible the knowledge assistant really is? Let's ask it to compare eligibility criteria between trials targeting different cancer types. This question allows to compare multiple trial documents and give an answer. We can ask agent to uncover patterns in adverse events profiles across similar therapies. That allows us to dive deeper to find non-obvious insights in minutes. This question implies deeper analysis of the data. System isn't limited to group-level analysis either. We can drill into a single document. For instance, ask a result for a specific clinical trial. Great, so we got results. You can also see that agent quotes documents where it finds certain information. You can open these documents directly here and get access to them. But let's combine these results with other clinical trials of the same cancer type. Or we can combine all sources for more advanced guidance. Like, for instance, try to understand, is there any deviations for a specific clinical trial protocol and regulatory documents. Great, we have some work to do for this specific clinical trial. This kind of cross-source, guideline-driven insights used to require weeks of manual work. Now it happens in minutes, thanks to Databricks. This can be a good foundation for a regulatory agent, for instance, which can suggest protocol changes for ongoing trials in response to changes in the regulatory documents. Knowledge Assistant is a perfect way to wrangle unstructured clinical documents. But what about structured data, tables, metrics, records? That's where Databricks really shines as part of multi-agent system. You can deploy Genie for structured sources, pair it with Knowledge Assistant for text analysis, and add other custom agents to generate code, connect to external platforms, and more. And all natively integrated into Databricks' secure, scalable Lakehouse platform. In short, Databricks transform complex data into clear, actionable insights and keep you ahead in any fast-paced domain. So this is what we've built today. We got some data related to clinical trials. We registered it in Unity catalog. We built a Knowledge Assistant. Then we provided feedback to Knowledge Assistant to better understand our questions. And then we tested this refined agent to ask specific questions and get answers related to clinical trials. This agent can be also part of a bigger AI system. Check it out yourself.